My best friend accused me of ruining her life after I revealed that she slept with my roommate's fiancé. I never thought I'd find myself in such an ironic situation. I'm a guy in my mid-20s, living and working in a quiet, small town in suburban America. My roommate is Jake. We've known each other since college and decided to rent a 2-bedroom apartment together to save money. Jake is a fun-loving, sociable guy, and we quickly became close friends. In college, we used to pull all-nighters studying, hang out at cafes, and when we graduated, we were both lucky enough to find jobs in the same city, so it was natural to continue living together. Besides Jake, there's Lisa, my best friend since high school. Lisa and I grew up in the same town and went through all the ups and downs of adolescence together. I considered her like a sister, intelligent, witty, but also very direct and straightforward. Even though we went to different universities, we kept in touch regularly. When I moved to this city for work, Lisa coincidentally landed a job here too, so our friendship had the chance to rekindle. Many weekends, Lisa would come over to my apartment, and the three of us would hang out, watching movies or eating together. Jake also liked Lisa. They could debate about all sorts of topics, from movies and music to sports. Life went on peacefully. Jake had a girlfriend named Emily, now his fiancée. Emily is a year older than us and works as a nurse at the city hospital. She has beautiful blonde hair, a warm smile, and a gentle, sincere personality. Every time Emily came over, our small apartment would brighten up with the joy and positive energy she brought. Honestly, I always admired Jake and Emily's love. They looked so happy and perfect together. They got engaged 6 months ago, and their joy doubled when Emily announced she was pregnant with their first child. Jake jumped for joy like a kid when he found out he was going to be a dad. That night, we celebrated their future with beers. Emily just sipped soda, of course. I looked at my radiant friend and thought that few people were as lucky as Jake. A stable career, about to have a happy little family with the woman he loved. Everything started one Saturday evening a few weeks ago. I clearly remember coming home later than usual because of unexpected overtime. When I entered the apartment, the living room light was on, but it was unusually quiet. I assumed Jake and Emily were probably out for dinner or a movie. As for Lisa, she usually only came over if she had made plans with me, and I hadn't invited her tonight. I hung my keys and slowly walked towards my room. Suddenly, I heard faint noises coming from Jake's bedroom. A girl's giggle mixed with a man's low voice. My heart involuntarily beat faster. Is Emily here? I wondered, both surprised and feeling a little uneasy about eavesdropping. But then another thought flashed. No, Emily has a shift at the hospital tonight. I remembered it clearly because Emily had told me about her work schedule last week, and this Saturday, she had a night shift. Warning bells started ringing in my head. I approached Jake's door, each step feeling like 1,000 pounds. The door was slightly ajar, and a faint light seeped through the small gap. I hesitated for a few seconds, partly afraid of witnessing what I didn't want to see, partly still hoping I was mistaken. But the sounds inside became more distinct. Laughter, intermittent whispers, and then a soft, intimate moan. A chill ran down my spine. Impossible. I took a deep breath, mustered all my courage, and gently pushed the door open. The scene inside made my blood run cold. On the bed, Jake and Lisa were entangled in the sheets, their clothes scattered on the floor. In that moment, I wished what I was seeing was just a nightmare. Jake, my kind roommate, Emily's loving fiancé, was cheating on her. And Lisa, my best friend, the person I always trusted implicitly, was cruelly interfering in someone else's relationship, despite the fact that the other woman was carrying my friend's child. Jake and Lisa jumped when they saw me standing at the door. Lisa quickly pulled the sheets to cover herself, her face flashing with panic before turning crimson with shame. Jake sat up hastily, stammering my name. Ben, it's not what you think. My heart sank. My throat was bitter as if I had just swallowed a bitter pill. I stared at the two people in front of me, feeling like I didn't recognize them anymore. Not what I think. I almost yelled, my voice hoarse with anger and disappointment. What the hell are you two doing? Emily, what about Emily? What did she do to deserve this? Lisa started to cry. She stammered through her tears. Ben, I'm sorry. It's not what you think. We didn't mean to. Jake also got out of bed, hastily grabbed a t-shirt from the floor, put it on, and walked towards me. Listen to me, it was just a mistake. We had too much to drink. It won't happen again. Please, don't tell Emily. You know she's pregnant. If she finds out, she'll be devastated. I stepped back when Jake reached out as if to grab my hand. I didn't want to hear any excuses at this point. My eyes burned, my chest tightened as if someone was squeezing it. Don't touch me, I snapped, making Jake freeze. I looked at Lisa, who was wrapping the sheet around herself, tears streaming down her face, her mouth continuously repeating, I'm sorry. I had never felt so angry and disgusted in my life. The anger was not only directed at their blatant betrayal, but also at the way they pleaded with me to remain silent, as if their biggest fear wasn't the sin they had committed, but the consequences if it were discovered. I turned away, not wanting to look at them for another second. I don't want to hear it. You two deal with this yourselves, I said curtly, then strode out of the suffocating room. I slammed my bedroom door shut, my heart still pounding in my chest. Leaning against the door, I slid down to sit on the floor, my hands clutching my head. Everything happened so fast that I couldn't believe it was real. Just a few minutes ago, my life was peaceful, my friends were the people I cherished. Now, everything was turned upside down. In my mind, the image of Jake and Lisa together kept replaying like a bad movie. I felt angry, betrayed, and incredibly hurt. Why could Lisa do this? She knew Jake was engaged, she knew Emily was pregnant, yet she still? And Jake, what was he really thinking? I remembered Jake's eager look when he talked about his soon-to-be-born child. I remembered the way he gently placed his hand on Emily's belly every time they were together. How could he betray his fiancée so easily? A wave of emotions swirled within me. Anger. Anger at their betrayal, for deceiving Emily, an innocent person. Disappointment. Disappointment that my best friend, whom I trusted, would hide this awful thing from me. Our years of friendship, it turned out, couldn't stop her from making such a terrible mistake. Conflict. I wondered what to do next. Pretend nothing happened? Watch Emily smile happily without telling her this terrible truth? My conscience wouldn't allow it. But if I told her, I would hurt both Jake and Lisa, and Emily too. I sat there for a long time, my mind in turmoil with hundreds of thoughts. Outside the room, I vaguely heard Lisa and Jake talking. It seemed like they were arguing softly, but I ignored them. I didn't want to see their faces right now. Finally, I heard the front door open and close. Lisa's hasty footsteps echoed in the hallway and then faded away. She had left. The apartment became quiet again. Only the ticking of the clock could be heard in the night. I stood up, walked to the window, and looked out at the dark night sky. Inside me was a jumble of emotions. Anger, pity, remorse, and resentment. I felt sorry for Emily. She didn't know anything. Still working hard on her night shift at the hospital, looking forward to tomorrow's day off to visit Jake. She often brought us homemade baked goods when she came over. Thinking of Emily, my eyes started to sting. If it were me, would I want to know the truth? I asked myself, if I were getting married and my wife was secretly cheating behind my back, would I want someone to tell me? The answer was too obvious. But then Lisa's tear-streaked face appeared. My Lisa, the childhood friend who always stood by me whenever I was in trouble. She had never done anything wrong to me. Until now. This was the first time I had felt so disappointed and angry with Lisa. If I told the truth, what would happen to Lisa's life? She could lose all her friends, be despised by everyone. I didn't even know if I could continue being friends with her after this. That night, I barely slept. Jake knocked on my door once, softly calling my name. Ben, open the door, let's talk. But I didn't answer, nor did I bother to open the door. After a few minutes without a response from me, he went away. I heard him sigh in the living room, then the soft sound of the TV turning on. He probably couldn't sleep either. Lying in bed, staring at the dark ceiling, I tried to push away the images of the evening, but I couldn't sleep. My mind was constantly torn between two choices. Silence, meaning pretending I didn't know anything, letting Jake and Emily's wedding go on, letting the baby be born into a seemingly happy family. Doing so would probably preserve my friendship with Lisa, and Jake would be safe. But then Emily would live a lie. She would never know that the man she trusted completely had betrayed her before they even got married. Tell the truth. Tell Emily what I witnessed. This choice would definitely devastate everything. The wedding might be canceled, their future family shattered before it even began, Jake losing his fiancée, the baby born into a broken home. Lisa, her life would also be severely affected. And me, I would probably lose my two best friends. But at least, Emily would know the true face of her fiancé before it was too late. I felt a heavy weight in my chest as I thought about both scenarios. There was no painless choice. I wished I hadn't come home early that night. I wished I didn't know anything. People often say, sometimes it's better not to know. Maybe that's true in this situation. If I didn't know, I would still think everything was fine. Jake would still be my good friend, Lisa would still be my trusted friend, and Emily would be about to have a fairy tale wedding. But now the naked truth was before my eyes. How could I turn a blind eye? In my turmoil, I picked up my phone countless times, opened the message section to text Lisa or Jake, then deleted it again. I wanted to hear their explanations, but I was also afraid to hear more false justifications. I also opened Emily's chat window several times. I had her number because we sometimes discuss surprise birthday party plans for Jake or holiday occasions. I thought about texting Emily right then. However, imagining Emily receiving that terrible message during her shift, I couldn't bring myself to do it. Finally, I decided not to tell Emily anything yet. At least wait until morning. Meeting in person would be better than texting or calling in the middle of the night. I also needed more time to think things through and to give Jake or Lisa a chance to face their mistakes themselves. The next morning, I left the house early. I didn't want to run into Jake at this time. I drove aimlessly through the streets, bought a cup of coffee, and parked in a deserted park, my mind still reeling with the question of what to do. Deep down, I knew I was leaning towards telling the truth. Because every time I thought of Emily, with her radiant face as she talked about decorating the baby's room, or her clear laughter, my heart ached. Emily didn't deserve to be deceived like this. Around 9 a.m., my phone vibrated. It was a message from Lisa. Ben, I know you're very angry. Please, don't do anything rash. I want to meet you and talk, okay? Give me a chance to explain, please. I read the message with a heavy heart. Explain? How could she explain this? That it was just a drunken mistake? That she didn't mean it? Whatever the reason, it had already happened. I didn't reply to Lisa, at least not yet. I needed to talk to someone else first, the only person who had the right to know right now. Emily. That afternoon, I drove to the hospital where Emily worked. I knew she got off work around 11 a.m. after her night shift. Indeed, I saw Emily walking out of the main hospital entrance. She looked quite tired but smiled when she saw me. She must have been surprised to see me there. Ben, are you here to pick up Jake? He's on his way. He should be here soon, Emily said, looking around to see if Jake had arrived. I swallowed hard, my heart pounding. Clearly, Jake hadn't told her anything. No, I'm not here for Jake. Actually, I want to tell you something. I hesitated, trying to keep my voice as calm as possible. Something important. Emily's eyes widened in surprise at my seriousness. She nodded and suggested we go to the coffee shop across the street to talk. We chose a secluded table in a corner of the empty cafe. Emily ordered a hot herbal tea, and I didn't even bother to order anything. My hands trembled slightly. I clenched them around the glass of water in front of me. Emily spoke first, worriedly. What's wrong, Ben? You don't look well. Is something wrong with Jake? Is he okay? I took a deep breath. It was time to face it. Jake is fine. I mean, physically he's fine. But, Emily, I'm so sorry to be the one to tell you this. As I said those words, Emily's face immediately changed. She put her teacup down, her hands clenching slightly. I could see she was bracing herself for the worst. I'm sorry. I almost choked, my eyes starting to sting. But you need to know that, last night Jake, he cheated on you. I saw Jake and Lisa. They slept together. As soon as those words left my mouth, I felt like the world collapsed in Emily's eyes. She stared at me, her lips moving but making no sound. The silence between us was heavy and suffocating. Then Emily shook her head repeatedly, her voice trembling. No. Impossible. He would never. Lisa? How could? I wanted to say something more, but my throat was constricted with bitterness. I could only sit there, sadly nodding in confirmation. I wish it wasn't true, but I saw it with my own eyes. Last night, at the apartment. I'm sorry, Emily. I think you deserve to know this. Emily covered her mouth with her hand, tears starting to roll down her cheeks. She cried, painful sobs escaping that she tried to hold back in the quiet cafe. I sat across from her, feeling my heart being cut, but I knew that her pain was 1,000 times greater. A moment later, Emily took out her phone with trembling hands. I have to call him. No, I have to see him in person, she mumbled. I quickly stopped her. Emily, do you want me to go with you? You're in shock right now. Let me drive you home, okay? I was worried she wouldn't be safe driving in this state. Emily nodded, her eyes red and filled with pain. She seemed unable to speak anymore. I paid the bill and gently led Emily to the car. During the drive back, Emily just cried silently. I handed her tissue after tissue. My heart ached for her, but I had to stay calm to drive. When the car stopped in front of my and Jake's apartment, we saw Jake's car already parked there. He must have just returned from somewhere, probably also looking for Emily after her shift. Emily took a few deep breaths and rushed out of the car, almost running towards the door. I hurried after her just in case. Stepping inside, we saw Jake pacing restlessly in the living room. As soon as he saw Emily, his eyes lit up and he immediately noticed something was wrong, probably from her tear-streaked face and the look of anger mixed with pain. Jake just uttered when slap. A sharp sound rang out. Emily had slapped him across the face. I froze at the door, stunned by Emily's fury. I had never seen her like this. Emily was usually gentle and soft-spoken, but now her eyes were cold with hurt. You know, don't you? Emily yelled, her voice breaking. Do you know what Ben told me? Or should I remind you? You slept with Lisa. Oh my God, Jake, how could you do this to me? Jake's face turned pale. His panicked eyes glanced at me standing at the door, then back at Emily. I'm sorry. I was wrong. Jake stammered, reaching out to Emily, but she flinched back. Don't touch me. Emily almost screamed, tears streaming down again. I trusted you, loved you, and this is how you treat me and our baby. She placed her hand on her belly, where their child was growing, and that made me feel even more heartbroken. Jake collapsed onto a chair, his hands covering his head. I beg you. It was just one stupid mistake. I regretted it immediately afterwards. I love you, Emily, and our baby. Please don't leave me. His voice sounded pathetic, so unlike his usual confident self. Emily covered her face and sobbed. I walked over and gently placed my hand on her shoulder to comfort her. Emily looked at me through her tears. Why? Why Lisa, Ben? I considered her a friend. I trusted both of you. She choked. I didn't know what to say except to apologize, even though I hadn't done anything wrong. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry, Emily. Finally, perhaps overwhelmed by pain, Emily turned sharply and ran out of the house. I called after her. Emily, wait. But she had already jumped into her car and driven away, tears still blurring her vision. I could only stand there, watching her go, worried but understanding that she needed space right now. Now only Jake and I were left in the apartment. A gloomy and heavy atmosphere enveloped the space. Jake was still sitting on the floor, his back against the sofa, his eyes vacant. A red mark from Emily's slap was still visible on his face. After a long while, he finally spoke, his voice hoarse. You told her. It was a statement, not a question. I walked over to face Jake, feeling empty inside. Yes, I told her. I replied, trying to keep my voice steady despite the heaviness in my chest. She has a right to know, Jake. What were you thinking, hiding it from her? Were you planning to let her live in a fake happiness? Jake closed his eyes, tears streaming down. I know you did the right thing. But God, I wish you hadn't seen it last night. I wish it had never happened. He said in despair. Looking at my fallen friend, I felt pity. Jake had destroyed his own happiness. He was the one who was wrong, but deep down I understood his sense of loss at this moment. I sighed, sitting down on the floor next to Jake. What's done is done. The important thing is what you're going to do now. Emily, she's hurting. You have to show her your remorse and change if you want her forgiveness. Jake nodded tearfully. I'll do whatever it takes. I swear I'll never. I just hope she gives me a chance. He sobbed like a child. I silently patted his shoulder to comfort him. Despite my anger and disappointment, I still hoped they could reconcile for the baby's sake. That afternoon, I also left the house, leaving Jake alone with his thoughts. I went to the gym to relieve stress and kill time. While I was on the treadmill, my phone vibrated again. This time it was a call from Lisa. I hesitated for a few seconds, then decided to answer, though I wasn't sure what I wanted to say to her. Ben? Lisa's soft voice inquired tentatively. Yeah, it's me. I replied a bit coldly. There was silence on the other end for a few seconds. Then Lisa took a breath as if to gather courage. You told Emily, didn't you? Her voice was full of anxiety. I closed my eyes and answered shortly. Yes. I told her this morning. Lisa gasped as if suppressing panic. Oh my God. Ben, how could you? I asked you not to say anything. Anger began to creep into her voice. The irritation within me also flared up. How could I? How could you ask that, Lisa? You know the reason why. Emily is innocent. She doesn't deserve to be deceived. Jake is about to marry her. They're about to have a baby. You wanted me to pretend I didn't know? Lisa sobbed. But now everything is ruined. Jake and Emily. What will happen to them? And me? My life is over. She started rambling through her tears. I was wrong. I know. But it was just one time, one foolish mistake. If you had kept quiet, it wouldn't have come to this. I felt both angry and helpless. Lisa, are you listening to me? Wouldn't have come to this what? You mean you wanted to deceive Emily for the rest of her life? You think she shouldn't know that her fiancé cheated on her? And me? I should live a lie in front of her, watch them get married like nothing happened? You think that's a good thing? Lisa yelled, I don't know. I just know that now everyone will despise me. You hate me too, don't you, Ben? Jake must hate me. Emily probably wants to kill me. Oh my God, what have I done? She cried loudly on the phone. I was silent, trying to suppress my heartache. This was what I had feared, the truth revealed, and now everyone was suffering. After a while, Lisa managed to speak through her tears. You ruined my life, Ben. Do you know that? If you hadn't said anything, everything could have gone back to normal. Now, I have nothing left. Lisa's accusation cut me like a knife. I clenched the phone, trying to stay calm. Lisa, I didn't ruin your life. You chose to do that. I didn't want to lose you as a friend, but after what happened, I don't know anymore. My voice dropped. I really hope you understand why I had to do it, even though I know you're suffering. But the person who is suffering the most right now is not you. It's Emily. Lisa was speechless at that. Only the sound of crying remained. I couldn't bring myself to say anything more harsh, even though I was angry. I hope you'll be okay, Lisa. But I think we should stop talking for a while. I said softly but firmly. Take care of yourself and think about what happened. When you calm down, we'll talk again. Lisa didn't answer, but her crying subsided. Finally, she whispered, Yeah. Okay, goodbye. Then she hung up. I stepped off the treadmill, my legs shaking. I sat down, exhaling, realizing that the sweat drenching my back wasn't just from exercise, but from stress. I had just lost my best friend, at least for now. She was angry with me. And Jake probably didn't want to see my face either, even though he knew I hadn't done anything wrong. That evening, when I returned to the apartment, I saw that Jake had packed some of his things. He left a note on the table. I'm going to Emily's parents' house for a few days. Thank you for being there for me today. We'll talk later. Jake. I was somewhat relieved that at least he understood I did it for the best. The empty apartment suddenly felt incredibly lonely. I sat down on the sofa, everything that had happened in the past 2 days like a storm sweeping away all of our lives. The following days passed heavily. I took a few days off work, partly because I needed time to calm down, partly because the sleepless nights had exhausted me. I didn't see Jake or Emily, just texted them to check in. Emily didn't reply, probably not ready to talk to me yet. Understandably, since I was the one who brought that terrible news. Jake texted back briefly saying that things were still tense, but he was trying. I didn't dare ask much. Meanwhile, Lisa remained completely silent. She hadn't contacted me since the call at the gym. I heard vaguely from a mutual friend that Lisa had taken a few days off work and barely left the house. I wanted to text her to comfort her, but then I stopped. I was afraid that anything I said at this point would only make her angrier. I also felt betrayed and hurt by what Lisa had said, that I had ruined her life. Was telling the truth a mistake? I asked myself that question countless times. One evening, about a week later, I sat alone at the dining table, staring into space. This table usually had 3 people sitting, eating and laughing. Me, Jake, and sometimes Lisa. Now it was just me and the suffocating silence. I remembered the days before. I used to think I was so lucky to have friends like Jake and Lisa. Now, I wasn't sure if I could trust one of them anymore, and the other hated me. There were moments when I truly regretted speaking up. If I had kept quiet, I would still have Lisa as a friend. Jake would still be living with me and preparing for his wedding. Emily would still be happy. Ignorance is bliss. That saying kept ringing in my head. I tortured myself. Was the truth worth sacrificing the friendship and happiness of so many people? But every time that thought surfaced, the image of Emily covering her face and crying reappeared. That image broke my heart, but also reminded me why I did it. Emily might be in pain now, but she had the right to choose her future with full awareness of the truth. If she didn't know, she would be entering a marriage based on deception. I couldn't be a silent accomplice to that deception, even if the price was losing my best friend. At those times, I told myself that time would tell. If I did the right thing, maybe things would eventually get better. If Jake and Emily truly loved each other, maybe they would overcome this incident, even if their trust was damaged. And Lisa, if she truly considered me a friend, maybe she would understand my decision, even if it took a long time. I focused on getting back to work to forget. After 2 weeks, I returned to the office, trying to bury myself in projects so my mind wouldn't have time to wander. Sometimes during lunch breaks, I would sneak a peek at Jake, Emily, or Lisa's social media pages, like a hard-to-break habit. Jake and Emily were both quiet, not posting anything new, understandable as they were going through a difficult time. And Lisa, she had changed her profile picture to a completely black image. That made me even more worried, wondering if she was okay. Almost a month after that fateful day, I received a message from Emily, the first since our meeting at the coffee shop. "Hi Ben, how are you doing? Can I meet you to talk?" Reading those words, I breathed a sigh of relief. At least Emily was ready to talk to me. We agreed to meet at the same coffee shop as before. When I arrived, Emily was already sitting there waiting. She looked thinner and tired, but her eyes were calmer. I greeted her softly and sat down opposite her, a little nervous about what she would say. "Ben," Emily began, her voice soft. "First of all, I want to apologize for leaving last time without saying anything to you. I know you just wanted to help, and I'm very grateful for that. It's just that at the time, I was too shocked." I quickly shook my head. "No, you don't need to apologize. I'm the one who should apologize for bringing you that terrible news." Emily looked at me, her eyes softening. "No, you did the right thing." After calming down, the more I thought about it, the more grateful I felt towards you. If it weren't for you, I probably would still be deceived without knowing it. So I want to thank you, even though it was probably one of the hardest things you've ever had to do. I exhaled in relief, grateful that she understood. Honestly, I was so afraid you would hate me or blame me for destroying everything. I confessed. Emily smiled sadly. "Of course, everything was destroyed, but it's not your fault. It's Jake's fault, and Lisa's. And you were simply the messenger." She paused, looking down at the teacup in her hand. "Anyway, I've decided to give Jake another chance." Hearing that, I felt a little lighter. It turned out they had reconciled. Emily said that after that day, she went back to her parents' house for a few days. Jake kept texting, calling, and even writing letters to ask for forgiveness. He accepted all her conditions, attending marriage counseling, no alcohol, completely cutting off contact with Lisa, and proving his absolute faithfulness. Finally, thinking about their unborn child and their past affection, Emily agreed to come back. They postponed the wedding for a few months to attend counseling and slowly heal. "I'm not talking to Lisa," Emily added, her voice turning cold. "I don't think I'll ever talk to her again. She's not my friend anymore." Clearly, Emily was very angry and hurt by Lisa, which was understandable. I nodded sympathetically. "I understand. You don't have to force yourself." Then I hesitated, deciding to ask, "Do you blame me for still caring about Lisa? After all, she's been my best friend for a long time." Emily was silent for a few seconds, then shook her head. "No. I understand you're caught in the crossfire, Ben. I don't expect you to hate her because of me. But I can't forgive her or be friends with her anymore either." She looked me straight in the eyes. "I just hope you know right from wrong. I trust you." Those words warmed my heart. "Thank you. I'm really sorry for all of this." We changed the subject and talked about their upcoming plans, about the baby. I sensed Emily's determination as she talked about rebuilding trust with Jake. Although her voice was still tinged with sadness, I saw a flicker of hope in her eyes. Before we parted, Emily unexpectedly stood up and hugged me gently. "Thank you, Ben. Thank you so much," she whispered. I hugged her back, feeling my nose sting. At least, in this awkward situation, I still had my friendship with Emily, or rather, That friendship was now truly beginning on a foundation of trust. After meeting with Emily, my heart felt much lighter. But Lisa, I knew I couldn't ignore her forever. Even though I was very angry with her, deep down I still cared. We had so many memories, I couldn't just abandon her. And I didn't want our years of friendship to end in resentment. That evening, I texted Lisa. A long, sincere message. I wrote, I understand that she's hurting and regretful. I don't hate her, but I'm truly disappointed in what happened. I hope she's thought about her mistake, and I hope she understands why I had to tell the truth. I still consider her a friend, and I'm ready to listen when she wants to talk. I sent it and didn't expect much. But surprisingly, a few minutes later, my phone vibrated. It was Lisa's number calling. I took a deep breath and pressed the answer button. On the other end, Lisa's weak voice sounded. Ben, can you meet me for a bit? I agreed immediately. We arranged to meet at the park near our apartment complex, a neutral and quiet place. When I arrived, I saw Lisa sitting on a bench, looking dejected. She was wearing a baggy gray hoodie, her face much thinner than the last time I saw her. I sat down gently beside her. We were both silent for a moment, not knowing how to start. Finally, Lisa spoke, her voice hoarse. Thank you for agreeing to meet me. And for your message too. I nodded slightly. I'm worried about you, Lisa. Hearing that, Lisa turned to look at me, her eyes reddening. I'm sorry, Ben. She blurted out, and tears started to fall again. I'm sorry for everything. You were right. I ruined my own life. I was wrong, so wrong. I can't forgive myself. I was speechless. This was the first time since the incident that I saw Lisa truly facing her mistake. I gently placed my hand on her shoulder. I'm very sad about what you did, but I'm also sad to see you like this. Everyone makes mistakes. The important thing is what we learn from them. Lisa sobbed as she recounted how she had almost broken down in the past few weeks. She quit her job, avoided seeing people. Guilt and regret tormented her every night. I hurt Emily, a pregnant woman who did nothing wrong. I can't believe I became that kind of person. She choked. Jake, he must hate me. And I've lost you too. I feel like I've lost everything. I shook my head. You haven't lost me, Lisa. I just need time to calm down. We've been friends for so many years. I don't want to lose you, but I need you to promise me one thing. Lisa wiped her tears, whispering, What? From now on, you have to live better. Never make this mistake again. Never betray anyone, no matter the circumstances. I said, each word slow but firm. Lisa nodded vigorously. I promise. After this lesson, I swear I'll never. She didn't finish her sentence, but I understood. We hugged. It wasn't a cheerful hug like before, but a hug of two friends who had just gone through a lot of pain. I knew our friendship had changed. It would take time to rebuild trust. But I believed that if Lisa was truly repentant, she could still be the friend I once cherished. Before leaving, Lisa hesitated and said, Do you think I should apologize to Emily? Even though she probably doesn't want to see my face. I smiled gently. I think if you're sincere, someday, not now but in the future, you can send her a letter. No need for a reply, just to apologize and wish her happiness. As for whether she forgives you or not, let time answer. Lisa nodded silently. I knew it would probably be very difficult, but it was also the only way for her to find peace for herself. A year has passed since that day. Now as I write these lines, my heart is lighter than ever. Jake and Emily got married in a small, intimate ceremony. I attended, even being Jake's best man. It was a simple wedding, not extravagant, but full of emotion. When I saw Emily walk down the aisle in her white wedding dress, her eyes shining with happiness next to Jake, I knew that everything had finally passed. That mistake was like a storm, but after the storm, the sky cleared. They had overcome it and rebuilt their trust. Now their baby girl is over 3 months old, incredibly cute and adorable. Sometimes I still tease Jake that the baby has big round eyes just like Emily, but a pouty mouth that's definitely inherited from her dad. As for me and Lisa, we've gradually mended our friendship. It's not as carefree as it used to be, but she's changed a lot, more mature and thoughtful. Lisa moved to a new city for a fresh start and a new job. We still text and call each other every week. I believe she'll be okay and find her own happiness. Looking back at everything, I see how ironic life can be, but also fair in its own way. I felt like a sinner when I told the truth, having to endure the hatred of my best friend. There were times I wished I hadn't known anything. But now, as things are gradually falling into place, I don't regret doing the right thing. Sometimes the truth hurts, but it's through that pain that we grow and become more truthful to each other. The biggest lesson I learned from this incident is the value of honesty and trust. A small family was saved from deception. A friend learned to take responsibility for her mistakes, and I understood that being a good person isn't always easy or immediately rewarded. But in the end, with a sincere heart, everything will be all right.